Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about file reads. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a file that I'm going to read in, and here it is. It's called names.txt. In there, I have a first name separated by everything, all the fields are separated by a comma. First name, last name, a title, and a salary. So the first three fields are strings or text. The last field is a number. We're going to declare it as a single. I'm going to keep it somewhat so you can see it in the background. So I'm going to declare something called a type. A type is an object that allows you to have attributes in it, or just properties. It does not allow you to run anything inside of it like object-oriented languages does, but it does allow you to declare your own kind of object that has attributes. So I'm going to declare a type called a person, and each person has a first name, a last name, a title, and a salary. I have to declare how big each of the text fields are. I just defaulted with 12. It doesn't have to be 12. I chose that. So first name, last name, title, and then salary as a single, which is a number. Okay, so that explains the type. Down here, I do a redim. So this is declaring an array. This step is just a formality to have an array ready because I'm going to manipulate the array. I'm going to constantly expand the size of the array so that every time someone reads in a value, the array will get one size bigger. I never know how big an array is going to be. I have no idea how big of the file someone's going to give me. So what I want to do is ensure that my array is big enough to hold it, but not allocating more space than is needed. So this is a way to do that. So it's a redimensional array. So I declare it as a size 0, which is 1, as a person, as a type of person, which I declared above. So the first thing I do is I clear the screen, the output screen, so make things easier. So in case you do this over and over again, you don't get confused on your output. I declare a string constant called $n$ and names.txt. That is the name of a file that I'm using. Quick note, the file that you're going to use, if you're not going to give it an entire file path, if you just want to use a relative name like this, it is relative to where the QBasic executable is running, not where the program you saved is running, where the QBasic is running. All right, so I open $n$, so open names.txt for input, and I have to give it a file number. I gave it number 1. I created a variable k, which is going to keep track of how many values I have in the array. I set it to -1. I set it to -1 because I want to increment it every single time I actually read in a line. So now I'm going to go into a while loop to read into all of the lines that are in the program. So I said end of file. EOF is a command within QBasic that looks to see, am I at the end of a file? There's an end of file marker that we cannot see, but there is in there, and the computer sees it and recognizes it, and it sends me a true value if the end of file is found. So I want my loop to continue. That needs to be a true statement. So while end of file is not true, so I had not end of file. So whenever I do get to an end of file, which is true, my not will make it false, and my while loop will stop. Okay, so I say while I'm not at the end of the file. I increment k, so my first time reading this, I'm going to be at 0. And I know the first time we do this, we don't need this, but I have to do it because this is the way I chose to do it. I redimensionalize my array, and I say preserve. So I make the array now whatever size k is. So k is 0 right now. So the first time you run this, it is the same value as it was before. The second time I run this, when I get to Wilma over here, you see the second person in there is Wilma. It's going to be size 1, so now it's going to have 2 values. I put the underscore preserve in there. The reason I do that is that says when you redimensionalize it, when you expand my array, don't just make me a new array that was size 1 and now it's size 2. Make me just expand my array to size 2, but keep all my values. If you do not put in that underscore preserve, that keyword there, it will blank out your array. So for a case like this where we'll continue to read more values in, you want that. Okay, so I'm reading in the array, reading in the value of the file into an array. So I say input, just like I would input from a user when we do the prompts. Now I use a pound sign. The pound sign 1 says input from a file. And then I just put the values, the fields I want. I want people, so which element of people am I talking about, and then which attribute am I talking about. So I'm going to read those in. Then I'm going to end my loop. My when is in the loop. It goes back up here. It goes to the next line, and it checks again. Is it at the end of the line? No. Read in another one. Is it at the end of the line? No. Read in another one. So I should read in everything, include all the way through Clark Kent. There's a reason I'm leaving that file open, so that after I'm done, I want to print out what's in my array. But I'm only going to print out last name and salary. This is just to show you that I did capture everything in the array, and that I don't have to print things out in the order that they are in the array. So another things I wanted to show you was, even though I could use K here for my loop, I wanted to show you another command, which I don't remember if I've shown you or not. It's called ubound. Ubound, when you put ubound around an array, it tells me what the size of the array is. So at this point, it would say 0 to whatever the size of the array is. So I'm going to do a little loop that's going to print my entire array, just last name and salary. All right, so this is just, remember, an academic exercise to show you how to do things. In the real world, you would read in a file like we did here, and then you would manipulate it in some way. Maybe, coordinate it with another file so you have multiple arrays and you'd be doing things with them. But, this is just an exercise to show some stuff. So let me run this. So there I ran it. And you see that I have Flintstone, Rebel with 1 B, then a Rebel with 2 Bs, Bunny, Skywalker, Solo, Parker, Kent. All right, so you see it did read in everything I had, and it has the salaries I had. So you can see something like Solo is correct. All right, just to show you that this is actually reading my my file, I'm going to go up here and enter. I'm going to enter in a new name. So I'll enter my name, right? Okay, so I'll enter Mark. And I don't know, I'll do 23,500. So I'll save it. Run it again. And you see it did read in my file, and it read in my change to it. So later on, what we're going to talk about is start sorting lists. So I've shown you swap, so I can show you how to do some specific sorts with swap. So you can read in a file, and then now read in a file into an array, sort the array, and then create a new file based on that sort. The sort could be by last name, could be by salary value, all kinds of things. That's where we want to go by the end of the year. That's all I have for you today. Thanks.